Ultimate tracking is a vital skill for every team, but oddly enough, in ranked play, many players never keep tabs on it. Knowing what ultimates the enemy has allows for your team to be one step ahead at all times, speeding up the game and allowing for your team to create fight plans faster. So let's get right into how you can start every fight prepared by ult tracking. Before we get into the logistics, it's important to understand the 3 stages of each fight in Overwatch. First, the pre-fight, then the main fight, and then the post-fight or cleanup stage. Let's break this down. The pre-fight stage is when a team covers 3 things: what ultimates the enemy has, what ultimates we have, and where and how are we going to use our ultimates. The process is very simple whenever it is the first fight. It all boils down to what characters you have and how you want to use them to win an engagement, but that is a topic for another video. It's pretty obvious that players won't have their ultimate abilities upon the beginning of the game, but it is important to understand how they do generate them in the meantime. At the start of the game, every player has 0% charge to their ultimate and passively charge their ultimate at varying speeds. Internally, each ultimate has a certain point value. Each character generates 5 ultimate points per second. The difference is that different ultimates have different values. For example, Tracer's Pulse Bomb costs 1,260 points compared to Lucio's 2,940. Keep this in mind when you think somebody is very close to an ultimate, as they may passively generate it as the fight goes on. All of the values can be found using the link that I have put in the description below. After the first fight commences, however, ultimates generally become close to coming online. Immediately after your team has seemingly won the first fight and cleanup is almost finished, the designated ultimate tracker, usually the main support, presses tab to bring up the team menus and communicates with their team on what ultimates the enemy has. During this phase, it is important that the main ultimate tracker is notified of critical information that occurred during the fight. An example of this is if a high charge Zarya full beams a D.Va down during a fight. This will make the Zarya generate Graviton Surge significantly faster. We will discuss specifics later in the video. Another method is for each player to track their counterpart on the enemy team, but this is a bit unconventional, so we won't cover that in today's video. Once the enemy ultimates are accounted for, it is time to make the plan for the next fight. This is a job usually given to the main tank, but it can also be given to a strong player elsewhere on the team. The next step is to look for what ultimates you have. Teams generally don't communicate this concept at the highest level since it is intuition to be aware of this at all times. However, it is okay to take these steps at a slower speed when first learning the new skill. Now that we know the available ultimates, we are set up to make a plan and execute a fight. A common situation could be that you know the enemy has Nano and Dragon Blade. How do you counter this? Sure, you have Transcendence, but what if it is not online? Since you have discussed this information, you can instead Gravitic Flux the Genji and kill him as a team, trading 2 ultimates for 1 and winning the fight. Do you see how incredible it is to have a main support capable of ult tracking now? This makes a big difference, far greater than most players expect. Something to look out for is the speed at which you ultimate track though. The last thing you want to do is be so slow at the process that you are still planning as the enemy is starting to engage. This will cause confusion, losing you the fight. Luckily enough, through my experience on the subject, I have just the tips you need to speed up the learning process so you can get more inherent value fast. So let's get into it. To start off, let me graphically represent the general charge time of the characters and their ultimates respectively. Obviously, these can change based on certain conditions, including the team they are surrounded by and the team they are against. Big ultimates like Beat Drop and Graviton Surge are ones to look out for. Keep in mind that players can switch between fights, changing their ultimate charge rate. There is a lot of nuance to this skill, but it is most definitely attainable if you work at it. While characters generally charge their ultimates fast in higher elos, it is important to understand that it may be different in lower elos. This chart is not perfect by any means, but I enlisted the help of Shocker to make this information as accurate as possible. As a player that spent a good amount of time in Bronze, climbing all the way to 4,500 on support, I trust his judgment. When in mirror matchups, where both teams are playing the same characters most of the time, ultimates are very close to your own team's performance. However, there are some key things to look for against specific characters. With Reinhardt, it is important to look for 2 things: how many people he hits with his swings and fire strikes. This is how you find Overwatch League leveled Reinhardts getting their ultimates so quickly, especially in the GOATS meta. If D.Va is eating fire strikes, it will significantly reduce his charge rate. If Symmetra gets to level 3 beam and melts your tanks, she will get her ultimate incredibly quickly. Her wall is incredibly strong, drastically changing the way you play the next fight, so keep on the lookout when playing against Symmetra rush compositions. Genji's whole kit revolves around triggering dash resets. If he manages to dash through your whole team a few times, chances are he will have his blade next fight. This isn't super common anymore, but if the enemy is running in a reset and a Genji, watch out for pull dash combos. This is also applicable when Zarya grabs. In lower elos, Pharah smurfs are pretty common. Hitting redirects generates her a lot of ult charge per shot, but it is even greater when the direct also deals splash damage. We're talking roughly 10% charge a shot, which is absolutely insane. However, if your team is keeping tabs on the Pharah, it will stop her from getting a lot of opportunities. Zarya is a lot like Symmetra in terms of charge. A high charge Zarya full beaming a diva is a critical situation that the person in charge of tracking ultimates must know. I know we talked about this earlier in the video, but it is important to cover because it is extremely common, especially at lower elos where players just start learning this skill. Out of all of the supports, Ana is the only one that has odd interactions, especially in double bubble compositions with Winston and Zarya. A common strategy is to peek in a choke with your Winston to take damage, letting Ana heal in order to generate the nano boost faster. When you see this otherwise abnormal behavior, it will be obvious what is going on. Tell your team and be ready to shut down the impending nano dive. Lastly, we have Ashe. Her dynamite is her main generation tool. If she hits a huge area on your team, she will have Bob online very soon. Keep in mind that this is only made stronger as she is paired commonly with Mercy. This is yet another situation where a diva can stay on top of things and counter this, but nobody is perfect or there would be no need to cover this situation. So how do you practice this skill? Do you have to play the game? Well, obviously the more you play the game with this in mind, the better you will get at it. However, it isn't the only tool to your disposal. Unlike other games like Valorant, Overwatch has a fantastic replay system. I used to watch Overwatch League to learn how to track ultimates. Using the replay viewer, pick a team that you want to track, then remove their team's HUD so you cannot see their charge rates. After every fight, guess what ultimates they have and take special notes of the ones you think are close. Act like you are telling this information to your team. Once you do, uncover their charge rates and see how close you were. If you were incorrect by a wide margin, go back and watch the fight again. Maybe a Genji dashed through the whole team twice, Ana farmed nano, or Reinhardt went off after the diva was demeched. Keep in mind that when you do practice, you aren't going to just get better at ultimate tracking either. You will work on figuring out what you really need to be looking at during a team fight, overall making you more engaged with what is going on. This is a big problem for a lot of people in our community right now, and there is no easy fix. Practice makes perfect with this in every skill in life. Don't get discouraged and keep trying. I used to suck at this skill, but now I am teaching it to you all. If you have any specific questions, join the Discord and let me know in the specified tab or message me directly. If any of this did help, please give the video a like as there are many players that still struggle with this skill. That like could make the quality of ladder games just a bit better, and that is something we all want. So don't forget to check the resources in the description. Thank you so much for watching, but until next time, I've got a peace out and Paz out. I'll see you in the next one.